Hello and welcome to your APL Index Transfer Daily Show on Saturday, the 13th of July. Um, we're moving on in the transfer window. Chelsea are busy again. Yesterday was one of those podcasts where we didn't mention Chelsea. It was weird. I think it's the first time I've done one of these and not mentioned Chelsea. Obviously, been the busiest team in the window so far. They have confirmed the eighth signing of the window today. We'll get into that in a bit. And a potential familiar face a couple of familiar faces set to leave Chelsea in the next few days or weeks, potentially. Newcastle, Ipswich, Man United, updates on those as well, and of course, Arsenal. So yeah, we'll delve straight into it. Before I do that, for those of you who don't know, my name is Ben Pescod. I'm an EPL Index contributor. You can find my articles on EPL Index. You can find me on Twitter. So for all your transfer news, EPLindex.com is the place to go for the Premier League transfer news. So we'll jump straight in with Chelsea. Enjoyed a podcast without mentioning Chelsea, but we're back talking about them. The news today is that they have confirmed the signing of Renato Vega from Basel for around £12 million. Predominantly a midfielder, can also play fullback, I've heard. That is the eighth signing of the window for Chelsea. I'm not going to pretend to know too much about him. Seems pretty highly rated over in Switzerland. We'll see how that transfers to the Premier League. In terms of departures, Romelu Lukaku still set to leave the club this summer. Talks with Napoli are ongoing. Lukaku wants to move. He wants that reunion with Antonio Conte. Napoli seem to be leading the race. There's not an awful lot of interest in Lukaku. Probably some Saudi interest later in the window if this move doesn't go through. Obviously, it was close to going to the Saudi Pro League last summer. And then finally, the last bit of potential outgoing for Chelsea is Kepa Arrizabalaga. Obviously, been on loan at Real Madrid last season. Ended up getting injured. Lunin came in. Courtois was injured. There was rumours that Real Madrid might go back in for Kepa, with Lunin now reportedly set to leave Real Madrid this summer. But the rumour today is that Al Ittihad, the Saudi Pro League, have approached Kepa with a permanent deal. Obviously, it will be mega money. And Chelsea, it's the best opportunity Chelsea are going to have of recouping some of that mega money they spent on Kepa back in probably around 2019, if I'm not mistaken. Around 72 million, I'm pretty sure they spent on Kepa back then. Obviously, they won't get that much for him now, but they might be able to. It's the best chance they have of making that money back is by selling to the Saudi Pro League. So that is one that I could see happening if the player wants to move. I struggle to see Chelsea turning down the finances that the Saudi Pro League would offer. And Al Ittihad, seem to be on a bit of a spending spree at the minute. Some people questioned whether the Saudi Pro League will be back this summer, and well, it's remains to be seen whether the Pro League will be back, but Al Ittihad specifically are making some serious moves. They are looking to make a triple Premier League swoop over the next week or two. Obviously, Kepa, we've just mentioned, and yesterday we spoke about Casemiro, the Man United holding midfielder, and Moussa Diaby, the Aston Villa winger. Big money spent on Diaby, supposedly around 60 or 70 million. But yeah, it looks like the Saudi League are starting to be active once again, and I'm sure that'll send a few shivers down the spines of some Premier League fans. A couple of other names mentioned with the Saudi Pro League, just for a bit of housekeeping. Kevin De Bruyne of Man City, Ederson of Man City, Alisson Becker of Liverpool, all being linked over the last few days with a move to Saudi. Nothing really advanced. The last I heard about Ederson was that I can't remember which team it was actually. One of the Saudi teams had offered 25 million for him, and apparently they've set a deadline for Man City to respond to that before. If they don't respond to that, they will move on to Alisson Becker, but they're going to have to pay way more than that to land Alisson Becker this summer, and I'll show you that. But yeah, we'll see how the Saudi Pro League things advance. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how the clubs deal with it compared to last summer, and how the players respond to it. Obviously, we saw a handful of players going over there, and they've called quits already. Jordan Henderson, most notably. Alan St. Maximin has joined Fenerbahce in recent days after going out there. The likes of Neymar have struggled to adapt over there, so we'll see how it goes. I'm sure a lot of players won't be as keen as they were last summer after seeing what's happened to those, but we'll see. Moving on then back to the Premier League, Man United have been the talk of the town over the past week or two. We'll try and keep it brief because we spent a lot of time talking about Man United lately and not an awful lot has changed. Joshua Zirkzee, the Bologna forward, and Matthias de Ligt, the Bayern Munich defender, are expected in the next week or two. A £40 million deal agreed for Joshua Zirkzee, more than his release clause, which some people found a bit amusing, but it does kind of make sense. They're paying that over 3 seasons reportedly. So that'll help them with PSR and financial fair play, paying it across 3 seasons rather than one lump sum. So it could actually be a bit of smart business from Dan Ashworth. And de Ligt, around £37 million expected to be for Matthias de Ligt. The player wants to move. He's been very solid on that the whole way through. Interestingly, a petition of around 70,000 Bayern Munich fans have been signed to keep Matthias de Ligt, which I find quite amusing considering he was being replaced by a midfielder at the heart of the defence last season. So we'll see where that one goes, but I think those two are pretty much nailed on to be joining Man United. Talks still are ongoing over other potential signings. Manuel Ugarte, the PSG midfielder, being linked with a move to Old Trafford. Nothing really concrete in that at the minute, and obviously we all know Jared Branthwaite is also linked. Man United apparently preparing a third bid for Branthwaite, but I suspect that might be put on hold until these 2 deals for Zirkzee and de Ligt get over the line. Netherlands are now out of the Euros, so there's no reason why that doesn't get wrapped up in the next week or so. And finally, Dominic Calvert-Lewin has also been mentioned as a potential forward target for Man United. But it's not just Man United in the race for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. The reports today that Newcastle are still in the race to sign Calvert-Lewin. This has been one of the stories that's dragged on across the whole summer so far. Newcastle were really interested. It looked nailed on to be happening ahead of the PSR deadline, and it didn't. But the reports are Newcastle are still interested in Calvert-Lewin, who has 1 year left on his contract. He's rejected Everton's latest offer for a new contract. So he is set to leave this summer. We'll see where he ends up. And then moving to Ipswich Town, another team that's been busy this week. They have confirmed the signing of Jacob Greaves is for an undisclosed fee, a 5-year contract. Really solid signing, depending on how much they've paid. Really good centre-back, promising, way too good for the Championship. But that's sort of the clever moves from Ipswich, so that if they do get relegated, these players will get them back up or back amongst fighting for promotion. Jaden Philogene is another one that's been linked with Ipswich. That one has kind of been put on hold. He is now joining Hull City for their pre-season tour in Turkey. Aston Villa's late move, activating the clauses, seemingly really threw the cat amongst the pigeons on that one. It seemed nailed on that he was going to Ipswich, but now it seems open between the two. Ipswich and Aston Villa are leading the race. Everton and Crystal Palace also linked, but perhaps Aston Villa have seen this bid coming for Moussa Diaby and are preparing to lose him, and that's maybe why they've made this late move for Jaden Philogene. He's a good winger, linked with Barcelona as well, definitely worthy of a Premier League club, so we'll see what happens with him. And then just to round off today, I saved this one to last because I've been saying it a lot lately, and I am really starting to sound like a broken record. Arsenal, Ricardo Calafiori expected within the next week. I've been saying that for so long. Personal terms have already been agreed. All that is fine. It's just an agreement between the clubs, but apparently that has now happened. Around £47 million, I think, for Calafiori. So that one from now should really start to accelerate. Obviously, Italy out of the Euros. So, yeah, that one should come through pretty quickly. Also, in terms of Arsenal, we mentioned the other day Nuno Tavares, the left-back, was going on loan to Lazio. That has now been completed. An obligation to buy for around £7 million, so he will more than likely make his move permanent to Lazio next summer after the loan spell. And Jacob Kivior is also linked with a potential move away from Arsenal, potentially to Bologna. That's been rumoured in recent days. Inter Milan also leading the race, obviously signed for 20 million last summer, is now expected to leave for 12. So a serious drop in money for Arsenal, but these things happen. Sometimes you can't get every transfer signing right. But yeah, that just about rounds up all the transfer news in the last 24 hours. Obviously, later on today, England are in the final of the Euros, so that'll mainly take centre stage, but there'll still be some transfer deals to report on, no doubt, tomorrow. So, yeah, as I said before, best place to keep up today with all your transfer news, EPLindex.com, articles, podcasts, opinion pieces. You can have a look on the Twitter as well. Most of the stories get posted on there. But yeah, keep an eye out for EPL Index Transfer Daily Show every morning for your roundup of Premier League transfer news, and I'll see you in the next one.